Today we are exploring Cortona, Italy. This is a lesser-known destination in the Tuscany region, most popularized as the setting for the film Under the Tuscan Sun. This amazingly picturesque city is sure to steal your heart, and we are going to learn why this is often considered the most romantic city in Italy. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Project Gaia. JP here, and today we are in Cortona, Italy. You probably haven't heard of it, but I bet you've seen it. So this town is consistently voted as one of the most beautiful and most picturesque in Tuscany. So it is amazingly beautiful, amazingly historic. I mean, it just has hills everywhere, beautiful views of the countryside, and it has this real medieval feel. It really is a fantastic destination. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to teach you a little bit about Cortona, and I'm going to show you the best things to do and see while you're here. So let's begin. So where we are now is the Abbazia di Antimo, and this is perched in the Tuscan hills. And what it is a 900-year-old abbey, right? So it's from about the 1100s, this building. However, there was a building here as early as they think the 700s to 800s AD, right? So it has a fascinating history, and the church is so beautiful, and it's so spiritual and meditative being out here in the Tuscan countryside. And another thing is they have an amazing pharmacy, right? So they have ancient, remedies for all these different ailments that you might have. So definitely check that out as well. They have everything from skin conditions to lung conditions to diabetes to anything really. Anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, they have everything. So that's a cool add-on to it. And it was started from the herbs in the surrounding gardens. So let's head in. Nestled amidst the rolling hills of Tuscany, the Abbazia di Antimo stands as a timeless symphony of stone and serenity, a relic of faith, resilience, and divine craftsmanship. This majestic Romanesque abbey, located not too far from Cortona, is said to have been founded by Charlemagne himself during the 8th century. Legend whispers that during a treacherous journey, the emperor and his army were stricken by plague. In a vision, Charlemagne was guided to the sacred spot where a miraculous cure was found, and in gratitude he vowed to erect a house of worship. By the 12th century, the abbey flourished under Benedictine stewardship, its limestone walls echoing Gregorian chants that seemed to ascend heavenward. The architecture is a masterclass in simplicity and grace, a fusion of French and Lombard influence with slender columns, arched windows, and intricately carved capitals that seem to tell silent stories of saints and pilgrims. The apse glows as sunlight streams in, painting the interior with a hushed reverence. Yet time was not kind to Antimo. In the 15th century, the monastery's prominence waned, and it stood in particular ruin, haunted by the echoes of a bygone era. It was only centuries later that restorations resurrected its beauty, ensuring its spiritual legacy endured. Today, visitors are drawn not only to its sacred silence, but also to its famous pharmacy. Here one finds artisanal treasures crafted from ancient monastic recipes, herbal remedies, lavender oils, honeyed soaks, and soothing balms distilled from the Tuscan countryside's bounty. These elixirs speak to the abbey's enduring harmony with nature, a testament to the Benedictine ethos of nurturing both body and soul. To visit Antimo is to step into a living hymn, a place where the past reverberates through sacred stone, and the scent of healing herbs whispers that time, like faith, is eternal. The drive from Abbazia di Antimo to Cortona is like journeying through the canvas of a Renaissance masterpiece. Every turn unveiling soft hills quilted with vineyards, ancient olive groves, and lone cypress trees standing like sentinels of time. As the road meanders past medieval hamlets and golden fields kissed by the Tuscan sun, the world feels like a dream, shaped by history and light. Approaching Cortona, the landscape crescendos in drama. Its honey-hued walls rise proudly from the hilltop, a crown of antiquity surrounded by an emerald sea. The road narrows, climbing in graceful spirals until the stone gates of the town beckon, as if inviting you to step back in time. Within its ancient embrace, Cortona's streets weave a labyrinth of cobblestones and terracotta facades where flower-filled balconies and hidden piazzas whisper stories of Etruscan warriors and Renaissance poets. The air hums with history as the main character strolls beneath archways and past trattorias where the scent of fresh rosemary and pecorino wafts like a siren song. Cortona is not merely a town, it's a living poem, waiting to be explored. So when you're in Italy, I recommend you get truffle anything. If you know what that is, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what that is, you don't know what you're missing. I mean, black truffle in particular is the most amazing sauce. It's better than marinara, it's better than vodka sauce, it's better than butter, honestly. And it's very common in a lot of the dishes here. So I recommend getting it whenever you can, when you're at a restaurant in Italy. Cortona is perched like a timeless sentinel upon Tuscany's emerald hills. Once an Etruscan stronghold over 2,500 years ago, it thrived as a beacon of culture and defense, its massive stone walls standing unbroken against time. Later, under Roman rule and medieval grandeur, Cortona blossomed into a jewel of trade and art, a crossroads for saints, scholars, and soldiers. The Renaissance further adorned its streets with noble palazzos and sacred chapels. Yet, Cortona's soul has always remained tethered to its ancient origins, a place where every cobblestone seems to echo the footsteps of history, carrying whispers of civilizations long past. So one place that you cannot miss when you're here in Cortona is the Museo Accademia. So what it is it's an archaeological museum, right? So it starts with the Etruscans, which is the founding of Cortona, really, and then it moves through time. It is actually a pretty large museum. You could spend a couple hours here. They even have an Egyptian section, and then it goes into like a modern section as well. So it's very interesting to see, and it's one of Cortona's top sites. So let's head in. The Museo Dell'Accademia is a treasure trove where the past unfurls its mysteries in a symphony of stone, bronze, and ancient parchment. Housed within the elegant Palazzo Casali, this museum is a sanctuary of time, guarding relics that speak to Cortona's illustrious Etruscan roots. Statues, urns, votive offerings, and even modern art evoke a world of sacred rites and warrior legacies, while Roman mosaics and medieval artifacts weave a rich tapestry of cultural evolution. The Renaissance legacy glimmers in oil paintings and sacred icons, each brushstroke a devotion to beauty and faith. Yet beyond the relics, the museum breathes life into Cortona's story, a narrative of resilience, artistry, and eternal wonder. Here, history is not static, it is very much alive, inviting travelers to walk alongside the ancients and feel the heartbeat of a civilization that never truly faded. So the the next thing you have to see is Cathedral di Santa Maria. Now, this is a beautiful church, and there has been a house of worship on here since ancient times. It was actually rebuilt on a pagan temple, which is very interesting. But the first church was recorded in about the 11th century, so it's about 1,000 years old, pieces of it. But it was remodeled heavily in the Renaissance era, so it looks mostly Renaissance. Another thing is, if you could hear the wind, ignore the wind, it has amazing views of the whole countryside right outside of it. This beautiful piazza looking out into the Tuscan countryside. It truly is amazing. So, let's head in. The Catedral di Santa Maria Assunta in Cortona stands as a quiet testament to faith and time. Its Renaissance facade humble yet dignified, like a pilgrim in prayer. Within, soft light filters through ancient windows, illuminating delicate frescoes and marble altars where centuries of devotion have left their quiet mark. The valley stretches endlessly below, offering a canvas of vineyards and golden fields bathed in the Tuscan light. Make sure you don't miss the Museo Dicesano. This museum is a sanctuary of sacred art where time itself seems to pause in reverence. Nestled within a former church, this intimate museum cradles some of the finest treasures of the Renaissance, each work a prayer frozen in pigment and stone. At its heart is Fra Angelico's Annunciation. This masterpiece seems to shimmer with divine light. The angel's soft wings and Mary's serene gaze capture a moment of celestial grace, and you could really feel the emotion of the artist in this piece. Surrounding the ethereal works are crucifixes, reliquaries, and tapestries, each imbued with centuries of faith and devotion. The deposition by Luca Signorelli, Cortona's own Renaissance master, tells a story of profound sorrow and redemption, its figures bursting with raw human emotion. Yet the museum is more than a collection. It is a journey through Cortona's spiritual soul. Within its quiet walls, the hum of the outside world fades, and visitors are invited to step into a timeless dialogue between art, faith, and eternity. So I don't normally do this. I don't say what the best thing to do is in any place, because it's really subjective, right? But I have to say that the best thing to do in Cortona is to simply lose yourself in its streets. I mean, the city is so amazingly historic, and it's not that stuffy historic either, where, it's a museum and it's not used. I mean, this is real people's homes, and I always love that when I explore a place, a historical place, that it's being used, it's being utilized for its original purpose, right? It's not just some stuffy museum that was repurposed to tell a story of the past, but the people here are actually living and breathing and working and playing and raising their families in these historic structures. I mean, most of these are medieval. They have to be anywhere between the 13th to maybe even 12th to 15th centuries. It really is impeccable, and I could see why it's such a famous place and has been known as one of the most picturesque places in Italy. So when you go to medieval cities, you will often find that the cities are guarded by walls, just like this one. We're walking along it now. So why do they have these walls? Well, the reason that they had these walls is you got to remember that there wasn't a centralized government, right? It almost functioned as little kingdoms and little city-states, because after the fall of Rome, civilization kind of went haywire, right? So that's why you see castles, that's why you see walls around cities, because the countryside and just enemies were a real danger that you could pay with your life, right? So cities would invest heavily into fortifications, right? So building of walls. So if you think about it, hundreds to 1,000 years ago, there'd be somebody along this walkway guarding it with bows and arrows and all kinds of weapons. We're walking along it now like on a nice leisurely stroll, but you know, that's what this was for at one point. Wandering through the streets of Cortona feels like stepping into a living fresco, where each narrow alleyway whispers stories of ancient civilizations and quiet Renaissance dreams. The cobblestones beneath your feet, worn smooth by time, seem to lead you deeper and deeper into the town's beating heart. As you pass beneath stone archways and sun-dappled balconies overflowing with flowers, the sky shifts, and a soft rain begins to fall, a gentle, rhythmic blessing from above that proves that this city truly is a beautiful place to visit. The rain paints the terracotta rooftops and worn shutters with a glistening sheen, and the scent of wet stone and rosemary fills the air. Locals smile beneath their umbrellas, and the piazzas shimmer like mirrors. In this fleeting storm, Cortona becomes even more enchanting, a place where the beauty of imperfection is celebrated and where each step feels like poetry written by the rain itself. Make sure you don't miss the hidden Chiesa Di San Francesco. This church stands as a solemn ode to simplicity and devotion. Built in the 13th century, this stone sanctuary was dedicated to the beloved saint who walked barefoot in humility and love. Its unadorned facade hides a treasure within, a sacred relic of Saint Francis himself, along with serene frescoes that tell the story of his life and legacy. The air is filled with a hushed reverence, as if the very walls have absorbed centuries of whispered prayers. As you step back outside, the world feels renewed. The small garden blooms with wild herbs and flowers, their fragrance carried on the soft Tuscan breeze. A cat, golden as the sun, stretches lazily beneath a fig tree, basking in the warmth of the afternoon light. Here, amidst the quiet splendor of nature, the spirit of peace that St. Francis cherished seems to linger, timeless and eternal. Where we're going next is the Fortezza del Girifalco. So what this is basically a fortress, a 16th century fortress at the highest point of Cortona. Now you walk uphill and up and up and up. It is not for the faint of heart to finally get there, but you are rewarded with the most amazing views. I mean, just look at this next to me. It's like an actual painting. It is very, very cool to see, and we keep going higher, and eventually we're gonna get to the highest point with the best views in Cortona. Ascending to the Fortezza del Girifalco is like climbing through the pages of history itself. The medieval streets of Cortona rise steeply, lined with ancient walls and flowered balconies that whisper of lives long past. Each step echoes with the promise of something greater. The rolling hills of Tuscany stretch like a painted dream, dotted with vineyards, olive groves, and distant villages. The sky seems vast, endless, and the view feels otherworldly, as if you've reached the very edge of eternity.